You not only lost, you got creamed. You know, I've always been a big Omarosa fan, but Omarosa, you're fired. This was not close.
Thank you for bringing me
Thank you very much.
Joining me now is Omarosa Manigault. Did I say that right, Manigault?
Don, can you start with, like, me not getting fired in front of millions of
Let me
people?
introduce you. Former contestant of The Apprentice
Thanks.
and former consultant
Yes.
for Vice President Al Gore. I mean, you were the first...
No, I got to correct you. I was Deputy Associate Director of Presidential Personnel. My last appointment was in the Clinton administration. I did work for Gore, which was torture, but that was for a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
Yes, but get my credentials right, boo.
All right, so listen, many people are appalled at the language and the tone that Donald Trump uses. He speaks like the reality show celebrity that he is, but you're not one of those people who has a problem with him.
I don't, because you know what? I think it's just so unfair. I know you shouldn't talk about fairness, but what a colossal waste of time that we're spending all of this time trying to interpret what Donald Trump said about Megyn Kelly, as opposed to getting down to where he stands on women's issues. We have squandered a whole weekend speculating whether or not he's talking about hormones or not, instead of trying to figure out about the gender wage gap, talking about reproductive health for women, talking about funding or defunding Planned Parenthood. Shame on the press, shame on the media, shame on people wasting women's time. So, we need to know.
So, and no woman problem.
The candidates on these serious issues.
So no woman problem for him, you think?
You know what? Donald Trump has an authentic problem. He's too real for the Republican Party. I heard on your last panel that they were saying Donald Trump had some way damaged the GOP. You know who damaged the GOP? George W. Bush, when he couldn't pronounce certain countries. George W. Bush, when he didn't know the geographical location of our enemies. Sarah Palin. I mean, are we seriously trying to figure out whether or not Donald Trump would make a good president? The man has major skills that he can offer, and instead, we're trying to figure out what tabloid headline to come up with next week for Donald Trump. Yeah. We need to treat him as a serious candidate.
So you said he is too real for the GOP. Is he too real, though, to be president? And what about, because, you know, it has to translate to other parts of the world, not just here in the United States.
Well, they were talking about his temperament in your last segment. And have you ever met Dick Cheney? Seriously, you want to meet somebody with a temperament problem? He shot his friend in the face. Donald Trump can be president. He's cool, he's calm, he's got his New York swag. And you know what? We need a little of that in your face. I can't wait to see him go toe-to-toe against Hillary Clinton on real issues, because if the GOP keeps playing around with Donald Trump, he's going to slide right in there and steal that nomination, and we will see the best debate in history. Hillary Rodham Clinton, Donald J. Trump.
So I asked him this question on Friday. I said, you know, if you were going to stand up against Putin and against China and all of that, but then you get upset when someone like Megyn Kelly asks you a tough question, and a question that many people saw as fair. He didn't see it as fair, but I think most other people saw it as fair. Then how are you going to negotiate with world leaders if you are viewed as so thin-skinned? You don't think he's thin-skinned, though.
No, I've been on the receiving end of one of Donald Trump's raps. He's tough, but he's fair. I've also attended amazing events that Donald Trump had. He opened up Trump Dubai. There were world leaders at this event. I talked to him. I met people from India, from Russia, from Asia. They were there. They loved him. He knows how to negotiate on an international stage. Do not underestimate the power of Donald Trump, or you will be scratching your head wondering, how did he get the Republican nomination?
Mm-hmm. You know, he's going to be focusing more on policy now, is what we heard. You have been called a diehard Democrat. Some say that Trump is more of a Democrat than a Republican when it comes to policy. So what do you think about what people call his flip-flops on issues like health care, like abortion? And even before you answer that, even in the debate, there was a question that said, I think Megyn said, when did you become a Republican?
You know, I think, having been in politics since I was 13 years old, I can tell you that people evolve, people change. Even I changed. I don't know if you know, I ran for school board, and suddenly people are asking me my opinion about certain things, certain issues. That was my Periscope, sorry. About certain issues that I had never thought about before. And so then I had to start to kind of conceive and think about my positions. And even though I had said things before, if I didn't have that information, then I couldn't really formulate a clear policy. I'm going to tell you something. Donald Trump is hiring the best policy analysts that money can buy. He's being advised by the best. And when he puts his position papers out, believe me, they're going to be solid. They're going to reflect where he stands on issues. And you won't be scratching your head. And by the way, he's not the only one. I went to Jeb Bush's website today. I went to Jindal's websites today. They don't have clear policy positions because it's still very early.
Okay. Omarosa, you're fired. Just from this segment because it's up.
But
you could always come back. I know, it was corny. Thank you, Omarosa. Always a pleasure. Appreciate it.
Good to see you, Don.
You as well.